Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my YouTube family. Today we are doing a full face of SHEGLAM makeup from the Shein website. And this is completely unsponsored. So I've heard rave reviews, but of course, all of those videos have been sponsored. So I wanted to do a full face of SHEGLAM makeup to really give you the real tea about whether or not this makeup is that good. So if you are interested in seeing how I got this face with SHEGLAM makeup, stay tuned. Okay, here we are, barefaced, ready to go. We are going to start out with the eyes. I am not sure at all how these eyeshadows are going to perform, so in case there's a lot of fallout, I wanted to do my eyes first. This is my first attempt at any SHEGLAM makeup from Shein. We will see, truly, an unsponsored view of how this makeup actually works. So the eyeshadow palette that we're going to use is called the Glitz Whiz from SHEGLAM. And if you see here, it is meant to be a dupe for the Natasha Denona Metropolis palette. I do not own the Metropolis palette, but I am familiar with Natasha Denona's eyeshadow formula. I should be able to get a decent idea if there's really any comparison between the two. So I took off the protective covering so you could see the colors a little bit better. The colors don't look exact to me, but again, since I don't own the Natasha Denona, I can't say for sure what it looks like in person. I will say one thing about the packaging. So first of all, it doesn't have a mirror, which is fine. Right off the bat, I don't like this packaging. So it is glitter on the outside, but it is the kind of glitter that comes off on everything. So there's already glitter all over me. So strike one, I am not a fan of that. Let's just dive in and see how the eyeshadows perform. It did come with a plastic covering that had the shade names on it, and I will try and match them up. I can't make any promises, but we are going to start with the shade Queen is Dead, which is just this guy up in the corner. So there is quite a bit of kick up right when you dip in. I already primed my eyes because I didn't see an eye primer. I didn't see many primers. Maybe there were, but I didn't pick any type of primers up. So for both the complexion and the eyes, I'll be using my own primers. So let's just put that in the crease. Okay, there's more pigmentation than I was anticipating. And it's a bit darker on the skin than it was in the pan, which I don't mind, but this seems to be the lightest matte color. It's blending out quite lovely actually. But again, sort of a light mustardy brown color is not the best test of an eyeshadow because I feel like they're not that difficult to formulate. And I'm going to pop in a little bit of this orange here. And this is in the shade the 80s. Little patchy right here, but this is first swipe, so I'm not judging it just yet. Just going a little bit lower in the crease and outer corner with that. So you'll notice though, I don't know if you can see it on camera, that initial color is quite a bit darker right here than it is in here. I don't know if my eye primer just wasn't fully dry yet or what, but we can work with it. So that too blended out really, really nicely. So let's get a little deeper yet, and we are going to go into this brown in the corner. It's sort of a chocolatey brown, and that shade is called Fusion. They are powdery. There is a fair bit of kick up with these, but as long as there's not a ton of fallout, I'm not super pissed. Not as deep as I thought it was going to be from the pan. I was expecting something quite a bit deeper. We might have to dip into one of these blacks. And I say one of these blacks because there's two shades in here that look almost identical to me. And that's these two right here. Maybe I'll swatch them and see. Okay, that's blue. That's also blue. They're both blue. Interesting. Okay, never mind. Oh, and they stain. All right, so there really isn't any darker brown to deepen up the outer crease. So let's go ahead and get into one of these shimmers. So I am going to go into this shimmer right here. New Wave. Let's try it on a brush first. Looks really pretty. Just packing that on. So these do go on nicely with just a dry brush. Not getting a ton of fallout, actually none. Pretty creamy. That is a nice shade. Okay, SHEGLAM, I see what you're putting down. And for the inner corner, we are going to go into this shade right here. That is called My New Love. Now I am going to use my finger for that. It's not as bright as I thought it was going to be. I find pretty much this whole palette is relatively mid-tone, which is kind of the same with the Natasha Denona Metropolis as well. That doesn't have as much brightening effect as I wanted for it. It's all right. It's pretty. So moving on to the other eye, I want to do a greenish look because there's some beautiful greens in here. And I'm going to start out with this sort of grass green color here. And that shade is called Bad Choices. Hopefully not. Hopefully it is not a bad choice. This one doesn't have as much kick up. I think it's more of that cream to powder formula that they try and emulate. And we're just going to put that as our transition color. Ooh, it is very grassy. Interesting. Again, blend it out super easily. And we're going to deepen it up now with this green right here. And that is the shade Camden. This is sort of a greenish blue. And it does not have as much impact as I wanted it to. It is also, oh, it's definitely that cream formula. So I'm going to go in with my finger here a little bit to lay it down and run it a little bit in the crease. Flick it up a little bit. I'm not going anywhere today, so I don't mind that I'm going to be wearing two different eyes. But I will do a wear time test because what I've heard on a lot of those sponsored videos was about this foundation. So I have to try it out and let you guys know if it's really all that in a bag of chips. I'm going to go in with a flat packing brush, see if we can't get a little more opacity out of this. It's a touch patchy. This one is a little patchier. Yeah, I can't seem to get it to stick right here. This is almost too creamy. It's like full-on cream shadow. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And those two are getting a touch muddy, but that could be me with my blending and struggling with that other one. So for the lid, I think I'm going to go into one of these golds. So I'm just going to put this gold all over the lid, and this one is called Next to the Moon, and I'm just going to go in with a finger because it looks a touch chunkier. Well, it looks chunky in the pan, but look at it on the finger. It's pretty shiny. Oh yeah, but it is still pretty glittery. It doesn't have a whole lot of base color. It seems to be more of like a toppery kind of consistency. We'll just build it up a little bit. I am getting fallout with this one, but that's to be expected as a glitter topper. I want something a little different on the outside. So right next to it, there's almost like an antique gold color. This one here, that's called Unspoken. And I want to take a little bit of that on the outer half of the lid. I definitely like this side better. The greens weren't my favorite to work with, but we'll see how it all comes together at the end. So I cleaned up the edges a bit, and we're going to jump into eyeliner. So the eyeliner that I saw in there that looked interesting was sort of one of these stamp situations where it has the eyeliner pen on one side, and then on the other side it actually has a stamp, sort of a wing-shaped stamp, and I will stamp it and show you. Now I'm noticing right off the bat when I did that it's not full opacity, so I'm assuming you stamp down to get the shape and then fill it in with the pen side. I have a lot of difficulty doing wings just because of my eye shape. We're going to give this a try. Now the interesting part is that anytime I've seen sort of other eyeliner stamps, they usually have like a left and a right, and this is just one. Oh, I'm scared. Okay, worked. Let's see if we can keep them even. Nope, they're not even. Oh well. Yeah, again, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'm assuming there's a bit of a learning curve, but let's go in with the pen size. Now, if you can see here, this thing is massive. Like this thing is pretty big. It's like a Sharpie. I don't know how precise I'm going to be able to keep it with this sort of Sharpie sized pen. Okay, I can't talk and do this at the same time. Okay, that actually wasn't too bad. There's like literally no flexibility in this tip, but it actually worked pretty well for me. Again, I am not an eyeliner expert. For the longest time, I wouldn't even try doing wings just because of my eye shape. I didn't think it was a possibility. Okay, so they're not perfectly even. My green one is definitely pointing up higher than my orange one, but it wasn't hard to work with. It wasn't that bad. So we will see how it wears. So this mascara okay, so here we go. I'm trying to rub this off, and this is a damp makeup eraser type cloth. I'm getting it off, but it is taking some work. So that's a good sign. But moving on to mascara, this is the SHEGLAM mascara in black. And this is one of those double-ended mascaras where it has one end for volume and one end for length. And I need my glasses to be able to see which is which here. So it doesn't say which is which. So I'm assuming this is the length side because it's got sort of the smaller, spikier bristles and less product on the wand. And this side I'm assuming is the volume side because it's got a bushier wand and quite a bit more product. So I am going to curl my lashes. So yeah, this was one of the products that put me on this whole idea because I saw sponsored videos from influencers who were raving on about this mascara. I wanted to try it. It was the mascara and the foundation that they were raving about. I'm going to go in with the length side first. Definitely not a lot of product coming off at this moment. Maybe I gotta swirl it around a little bit. So that's one coat with just the length side, and it basically just tinted my lashes. I don't see a whole lot of length. I'm gonna build it up with one more coat. It's not a super wet formula. The wand is not hurting my eyeballs, which is a huge problem for me. My waterline is super sensitive. This one is not bugging me. Okay, so I am getting some length now. So that's coat 2, and I'm definitely getting some length now. Let me zoom you in just a touch. So I don't know if you can see that, but it is giving me some length. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple of coats on this on the other side. Not like the best I've ever seen. I do really like how the wand separates my lashes. You can still see all my lashes. I think this would be really good for the lower lashes. So now we're going to go in with the volume side. Again, I've got mascara all over my lid, but we'll clean that up in a minute. So we'll go in with the volume side. I might have waited too long for this. All right, so we're going to change gears and do volume side on the one that I just did because this one isn't building well, and I think it's because I left it too long. Yeah, okay, so one eye at a time, guys. These lashes mean business. Look at that. That is some volume. Let's see if I can do that on the dry side. So I did manage to get it there, but it was definitely harder now that the mascara was dry. But these are some good looking lashes. I think I got a little, they must have a bit of a fiber in it because I think I got some in my eye. All right, so my one eye is super pissed off for some reason. I don't know if I got a piece of glitter in it or a little bit of the mascara. I think there are fibers in this mascara. Something got into my eye. It's not bugging me anymore, but it's still watering a bit. So it'll be a good test to see if it messes with the mascara. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit and we are going to move on to Complexion. So in order to give this foundation the best chance possible, I'm going to go in with my Hard Candy Sheer Envy Hydrating Primer 12-Hour Makeup Grip. This is the dupe for the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer, and it's quite a nice primer. So we are going to jump in with the foundation. So let me show you this. So it comes in like a little velvet pouch, and the bottle feels very luxe. It is like a frosted glass bottle. This is the bottle here. And this is the SHEGLAM Complexion Pro Long Lasting Breathable Matte Foundation. And I got the shade Warm Vanilla. The shades were not the best and a little bit difficult, so I'm not sure how the match is going to be. It's got a pump, which is great. We love a pump. Let's see. Okay. The shade isn't bad, actually. Get my hair out of the way. Okay, hair. Stay back there. Because it's a matte foundation, I'm going to work in sections because I have no idea how fast it dries. It's blending quite nice. And it looks really good on the skin. So far, so good. Little heavy right here, but that's where my large pores are. So if I'm not using a pore filling primer, those get emphasized a bit with the thicker foundations, and this is a bit of a thicker foundation. It's not running down my hand. Do the other side. Let me try a little bit thinner layers here. Let's try thinner layers, see if we can't stop it from looking cakey in that spot. So I think this foundation claims that it can be built to full coverage. Yeah, don't love how it looks around my mouth. We're just going to go right in with the sponge on the forehead. And of course, this is another problem area for me because of these guys. Foundation loves to settle in those lines. Shade match is actually pretty perfect. I'm impressed. It was not the easiest to pick out shade. It looks okay. It looks great on camera. It looks good from afar. Up close though, I don't love how heavy it looks around my mouth. I'm a little afraid to powder it. It could possibly be one of those foundations, especially because it's a matte foundation, that it's going to actually look better throughout the day, because as my natural oils come in and sort of mingle with the foundation, I could end up looking like a glowing dewy goddess. We shall see. But for concealer, I picked up the SHEGLAM, I think it's just a 12-hour concealer in the shade Madeline. Spelled funny. It's spelled weird. This one looks very light, so I think I made a boo-boo here. It's the only one I have. So I think it's supposed to be like a creamy concealer, like maybe a NARS creamy concealer dupe. Just looking at the consistency because it's very, very creamy. But let's try this out. We're going in. Yeah, a touch light, but I think we can make it work. It is a thicker concealer. It's blending out nice, but it already looks a touch dry under my eyes. Okay, I think I just used too much on the one side because I used far less on this side, and it is definitely looking better. So little goes a long way. I still got nice brightening, but it's definitely a little heavier under this eye. And I think that's just excess product. The shade isn't terrible. It is a touch lighter than I generally go with concealer, but we like a highlighted face though. Yeah. It looks pretty. It looks pretty in the center of the face. I like how it looks in the center of the face. Before we powder anything down, so first of all, the foundation is still a bit tacky. It hasn't fully set, but we have a cream contour. I saw this on there and I was intrigued. So it is a cream contour stick. So this is the Color and Sculpt stick. So it's got two sides. We've got the cream contour on this side. That looks very warm, and we will swatch it. Yeah, it's looking a touch on the warm side. And then on the other side, is this a highlighter? It looks shiny. I think this is the highlighter. Oh yeah, that's definitely a highlighter. It looks pretty. Sort of a pearl, slightly gold. Put a little here. Okay, it doesn't look as warm on the skin. It does in camera, but in person it's not as warm as I thought. Blending out easily. Kind of blending away a touch though, which I'm okay with a buildable product. I can handle a buildable product. Okay, not. It's very creamy feeling. It's very emollient. It isn't messing with my foundation though, that I notice. It's not blending as well right here. I don't hate it. So I'm going to set this with a powder bronzer that I brought down, but it's not bad. We'll see how it wears. It did blend away a bit. It didn't mess with the foundation. I've got a bit of life and color back into my skin, so far so good. So we are going to go into the liquid blush now. The liquid blush comes in a little frosted bottle like this. Very cute, but it ooh, don't like that noise. But it has sort of like a floof applicator on it on this lid. And you shake up the product and it dampens the applicator, and then you apply it. We're going to put some on our hand first and see how it blends out before we go onto our face. Okay, so it blends out nicely. There's the color right there. It's got a bit of a sheen to it, it seems. I don't know if that will go matte once it dries down. And this is the shade Dolce Vita. It's not picking up the foundation. It is not going on super evenly though. I'm gonna try it with the sponge. It's a really pretty color. Doesn't really go with my eye look. Well, it does. It's a neutral rosy pink, but a little more rosy, a little more cool than I was anticipating from the picture. Just using the sponge because I liked how that applied better. I find that the stippling brush made it a little patchier than I wanted it to. It is pretty pigmented. I haven't added any to the back of my hand from that initial squish of the floof. It looks pretty. Out from the cold, let's go in with this highlighter, and I don't know the best way to do this. It's very, very creamy. Like the stick is, it's a little sticky, but when you rub your finger on the stick, it does melt really, really quickly and go everywhere. It's going on okay with the finger. It's not messing up the finish underneath it. It's sort of a subtle glow. I'm sure you could build this up. I'm not gonna, but it's a nice subtle sheen. Let's see what happens when we do it right from the stick and blend it out with the sponge. Let's see what that does on my nose and Cupid's bow. Definitely comes off stronger when you go right from the stick, clearly. It looks more glittery when you apply it directly from the stick, but it's still pretty. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it is pretty. I'm just gonna set my bronzer with my Milani Silky Matte. And this is in the shade 2. It is catching on the cream a little bit, so that cream is not fully setting down. I don't like that. I don't like that. And for blush, we have the SHEGLAM. Look at how cute this, first of all, this component, this package is so cute. It's just a pale pink, sort of has a nice little curve. It opens up, it's got a mirror. And look at the embossing in the pan. It's so cute. I do like this. This is the lightweight matte blush in Good Vibes. I'm just gonna take that and set. This one's a bit peachier. Now I thought this was, oh, tap that off. This is what I thought the liquid blush was going to be color-wise, but it is not. These are not playing super well together. I'll have to try that out on its own, because over the cream blush it is catching, because the cream blush is not totally setting down. Maybe I should have gone in with the translucent powder first, but I don't usually have to do that when I'm layering up with my other ones. I'm going to throw my brows on really quick. This is just a teeny tiny little brow pencil. It's called the Skinny Brow Pencil. Like, look how little this thing is. It does have a spoolie and a very, very micro tip brow pencil. I'm not sure what color this is. I'll have everything listed down below, the shades and whatnot. I know I haven't really been mentioning them along the way. Ooh, might be a touch dark. So it was really easy to work with. I like the fine tip. The formula is a drier formula, which I like. I don't like it to be too waxy and have too much product built up in the brows. This foundation looks very, very heavy on my skin. I really am not loving that. Just putting that out there. Even as we're sitting here and it's had time to sort of settle in, it has settled in. Now, it does look great on the monitor. I'm sure it looks great on camera because these kinds of foundations generally do. I haven't powdered it yet. Crepey and dry. But we're going to go in with powder anyway because we want to test out the powder. But the foundation still feels like slightly damp on my face. It hasn't, we've been sitting here maybe an additional 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, and it hasn't fully set down. So we are going to go in with the translucent powder. This is the Baked Glow Setting Powder in translucent. It comes with a little floof to keep the product in, and it just has sort of one of those standard, you're not going to be able to see it, standard sifter tops. Just going to get a little bit on here first and see what it's going to do to my under eyes. I mean, it didn't make them look any worse. We shall see. Nothing magical happened. Let's do the rest of the face. The one thing I will say is that even though my forehead lines look crazy emphasized to me, no product has gathered in them yet. So even though it's a bit of a heavier foundation, it hasn't gathered in my lines, which I am thankful for. I'm going to see if I can't buff that out. I don't think that's going to buff out. That is the cream bronzer, the cream contour, and then the powder bronzer on top has created this sort of splotch, and I couldn't get it out. So this is a bit of a glowy powder, which I love. And then we'll go back in and pat all that in with my sponge. But look at the luminosity my face has. I do love that. I love it when powders do that. That first shade that we used on this side, that yellow shade, Queen is Dead, under here. It's not showing up as much that time. So it must have been that my primer was still wet, because on the lower lash line, it's definitely the color that I was expecting it to be the very first time I put it up here. Then I am going to take this orange in the 80s and just put that a little bit closer to the lash line. And then with a more precise brush, I am going to take that brown and run it really close to the lashes in that outer third. Put that same sort of color we used on top on both inner corners. But for the other side, I am going to run this sort of darker camo green. This is called Dreary Town, and that's this one right here. And this is one of those creamy colors for sure. For the inner corner, I'm just going to go in with that color that we used on the inner lid here. This isn't as bright as I want it, but it will do. I'm actually pretty impressed with this palette. I think everything blended out nicely. We will see how it lasts on my hooded eyes. I, of course, didn't try every single color, but I find this cream to powder formula a little bit different to work with than the Natasha Denona one, but I have to play around with it and use different brushes and whatnot. So we're going to use that, just the lengthening mascara on my lower lash line. I don't think that big fluffy brush is going to work that well. Neither is this one though. I did get a little bit of mascara under here. So last but not least, we're going to do the lips. I'm looking very dry. And for lips, I did get a lip liner and a sort of duo that I think is supposed to be a dupe for the Chanel Le Rouge duo. It's got the doe foot on one side with the color, and then on the other side it has the clear gloss with the brush tip. So very, very similar. Is in the color Cuticle. And I did get a lip liner as well. It's just a, wow, much, much pinker than I thought. This is in shade 3. Very, very light pink. We will see. We'll see how this goes. It's very pale. It's just a retractable lip liner. Felt pretty creamy on the back of my hand. I can't talk while I do this. Very easy to draw. It's a little stiff, which I like. It doesn't just break off. Not bad. I'm not going to fill in too much with that because I want to see how this other one goes. And this one too, I think, is a touch light. Again, the colors on the website weren't that great in terms of like clear representation of what the color is. Let's give this a try. Oh, it's very peachy. Doesn't necessarily go with the lip liner. Definitely not the normal color that I wear. It's not the Chanel. The formula is a little bit patchy. I'm not getting sort of even opacity across the lips. It feels okay. It feels powdery right now. It doesn't feel super dry, but it feels powdery. It's not sticky at all. Yeah, it's very dry and powdery, and my lips already look like they've got cracks in them. So this is not my preferred look. So we're going to put the gloss on. Oh, I forgot to test the little bit of transfer. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. You see a little bit of transfer right here. Well, let's give it a whirl. Let's give this gloss a whirl. I mean, clearly it's transferring onto the gloss wand, which is not a good sign. So I don't think it's like the Chanel where the gloss actually like seals everything in and makes it like absolutely budge proof throughout the day. So I don't think we're talking one of those situations. Let me make sure my hand is clean and dry before we do a transfer test. Yeah. No, so the gloss makes it transferable versus the Chanel, which the gloss makes it transfer proof. I'm going to set this down with the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray to give it the best chance, this foundation. It's looking pretty heavy right now, but we will see what it does throughout the day once sort of my skin sort of comes back alive and my oils start to come through. It might end up looking pretty beautiful, so need that little extra moisture. Go back in with my sponge, tap everything in. All right, here we are. This is my finished look. I am going to go about my day. It is currently 9 o'clock in the morning, so I will see you guys back here later this evening after dinner and after I've eaten and had meals and lived my life for the day, and I will show you what this makeup's looking like. Okay, we are back. It is the end of the night. It's about 8 p.m. So I've had this makeup on for almost 11 hours, and I have some thoughts. So it doesn't look too bad on camera, but up close, I have some thoughts. The first thing I noticed was that the concealer, probably around hour 5 or 6, started to break up. Not so much break up, but almost look pilly with the powder. It was like almost so dry it was pilling underneath my eyes, and it seems to be gone now. I don't know if I wiped it away inadvertently. It doesn't look too bad at the moment, but it looked real funky around hour 5. Now the eyeshadow, I had high hopes. I had high hopes that we could find ourselves a good Natasha Denona Metropolis dupe. And right from the get-go, the application wasn't quite the same as I'm used to with Natasha Denona shadows. The pigmentation wasn't quite the same. I'm going to play around with it a little more, but I'm going to zoom you in and show you what my eyeshadow looks like up close. Now, if you can see, on both sides, I have bald patches where the shadow has like completely worn off. And this glitter on this side was falling down onto my face throughout the day. So I wasn't super thrilled about that. I'll also, while we're here, we'll talk about the eyeliner. So the eyeliner held up pretty well. Like it's on there. However, I noticed after I applied it and after I left that there were spots that I completely missed or that it skipped over. And so I'll have to play around with that. But for the most part, the eyeliner stayed intact much more than the eyeshadow. Now, if you notice with this eye, that darker green is gone. It's all just sort of this yellow color now. That green, all the greens are gone. So the color faded quite dramatically. The mascara held up really, really well. As you can tell, there is no smudging or flaking underneath my eye. There's a little flake here, but that's sort of left over from when I bonked myself with it. And when I do rub across my lower lashes, I do get some little flakes, so maybe it would start to flake, but if I can get 10 hours out of a mascara, I'm pretty happy. So I'm not mad that it's gonna start flaking now. Taking a look at the complexion. So this foundation looked like a bag of trash around hour 2. It wasn't too far in. I looked really, really dry. It is a matte foundation. I would need a much more hydrating base under this to look better right from the start. However, if you look now, I mean, it did gather. It is a bit gathered in this line right here, which I do have a trick for that right at the beginning of application that I didn't use this time. So I will try it again with that with a much more hydrating base. But now at the end of the day, now that my oils have come through, it actually looks not bad. I'm a little glowy, which I don't mind. The foundation is pretty much gone around my nose because I've been blowing my nose a lot. I have terrible, terrible winter allergies. Other than that, it's not too bad. You can still see a little bit of the blush. There's a little bit of blush. The highlight, not so much. The highlight, I think I would have to put it on a little more intensely, but it's pretty well worn off, but you do still see some of the blush. The contour though, other than that weird spot right here where it kind of bunched together and created kind of like a bronzer glob, it's pretty well worn off. So the staying power on that contour stick is not great. I'm going to play around with it again and see if I can get it to stay a little better with maybe a different bronzer. I did put the Milani on top, but maybe just a translucent setting powder to really lock it in to see if that helps. The brow product, it's fine. It's a brow product. It's very, very micro fine, which I love. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. So yeah, the brow product stayed in place. I haven't noticed any fading of the actual pencil line. And I did really, really like how thin this is. Like this is a thin pencil. So I'll definitely be using this again. The lip, of course, wore off right after I ate the first time. And that wasn't a surprise. We knew that was going to happen as soon as I put that gloss on and realized that that completely ruined any kind of transfer proofness that it might have had as a matte lip, but it was comfortable. It was comfortable while it was on. I didn't hate it. It did slip and slide a little bit. I probably would apply less gloss, but I'm so used to with the Chanel product, just like slapping the gloss on and that being really what's locking the product to my lips. I mean, the color wasn't my favorite either. It might be a little better with a bit of a darker lip liner, so I will toy around with that, but it was really comfortable. The eyeliner stamp thing, I liked that. So I have never ever really been able to do wings, and as I looked at myself in the mirror today, I did prefer sort of the angle of this wing, but I was really surprised because I wouldn't have been able to freehand this. And I think it's kind of cool to have that stamp, and I'm excited to play around with that again and sort of perfect it. What else did we have? The powder blush. Again, I didn't get the best sense of the performance with this because it didn't interact really great with the liquid blush. So I'm gonna play with that again because I just love this color. I think it's such a beautiful, beautiful color. So I will get back to you on the powder blush. The liquid blush, I mean, it's still there, so I can't really complain about the staying power of the liquid blush after this many hours. What else? I think that's it. My biggest disappointment was definitely the eyeshadow palette. I was so excited to have sort of a dupe, but man, those greens. I literally look like I have like a healing bruise around my eye. This color yellow with the leftover hue of the green, like it's a fading bruise. It's like a 3-day-old bruise. Not really the look I was going for. Oh, the powder as well. I mean, it's a powder. It didn't blow me away, but I will keep using it. I didn't hate it. So I'll put it that way. I didn't hate the powder, so I'll definitely keep playing with that. But they have some good stuff, and it's really reasonably priced. I will put the prices of everything in the description box below. I'm not a very good YouTuber yet, and I didn't bring them down with me, but I have them all written down upstairs. But it was really, really reasonably priced. Shein was having a sale too, and they have a lot of sales. They'll have like 80% off sales. So I mean, I think I got this for like $1.99. I think it was 80% off. So definitely keep an eye out for sales. But as you can see, I've totally given up on my hair at this point of the night. But anyway, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you're enjoying my content, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and make sure you turn your notifications on to all so that you catch every video when I upload it. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful evening or wonderful day or whatever time it is when you're watching. Stay safe, be healthy, and wash your damn hands. Bye. My uneven wings are bugging me. Oh well, que sera. I hate that noise. That noise is awful. Drying my boobs. How's my watch? Did I leave it upstairs?